annoyingly, I just did about 5 minutes of a video and then I realised that I was actually on the wrong screen, so I'm starting it again. So basically in this video we're going to have a little walkabout inside Linux, the command line mainly. So this is aimed at people who are just getting into Linux and just getting into pen testing, because a lot of the programs that you use will work off the command line, so you need to have a good understanding of how it works and how to navigate around it. So this video is going to be based on our previous videos of setting up our own version of Kali, if you like, using Debian, just because Kali, it's got over 600 programs and you're not going to need them all. So setting up your own will teach you quite a lot as well. It will teach you a lot about Kali, because you're having to learn in order to install the programs that you want and get it to work the way you want it to work. So I think it's a good idea to start your own. So I mean, don't get me wrong, in this video touches a very small portion and small amount of functions and opportunities that are out there in the command line, but it's enough to be able to get you around and allow you to build up on this. There will be more videos that I'll be doing in the future that will go into more commands, but this is a good start and good basis. So I'm going to make sure I do actually share the correct screen this time. So there we go. Now this is the command line. I didn't want to be in this directory actually. Let me just quickly change. Okay, so we are sat inside the desktop directory within the terminal, which is what we can see in the background behind the terminal here. Now, the first command we're going to talk about is ls, which just lists the contents of a directory. So ls, you can see that it's going to list test.txt, which is this file here. It's not going to display these. It's just going to display anything that we make, so any file or any folder. Now we also have cd, which means change directory. So if we type in cd, because I want to move back one directory, so in order to move back you just put .. and that will move back. So now the location that we are in, so if I type ls, you can see we have these options, these folders here that we can potentially move into. So the folder I'm in now is my user's home folder. So if I click home, click Richard, you can see that the options are the same. So if I was looking at the GUI version, this is the same. So this is what is in the command line. So this is the directory we're in now. So let's say I wanted to go into documents. I would use cd, change directory. Now you can use the tab key on your keyboard to auto-complete file or folder names. So I know when I want to go into documents, so I can just type in doc. Linux works off case sensitive, so I can't just type in, bear in mind it's got a capital D, I can't put in, so even if I put in documents, it's going to say it doesn't exist. Okay, so it is case sensitive. So cd, if I put in doc, then click tab, it's going to automatically complete, so that's much quicker. But it will only auto-complete if there's only one of that file or one of that folder. So if I type in, so we can see here that there's 3 that start with a D. So if I were just to do D and click tab, nothing happens because it doesn't know which one you want. So if I just click tab again, so I click it twice basically, it then comes up with the options for you to choose. So that's quite handy if you've just gone into a directory. You started typing perhaps a command and it's quite a long one. You need to find out the name of the file, in order to run it. So you can, if you know the start, even like the first couple of letters, you can just type that in, click tab twice, and it will come up with a list of files that start with what you typed in. So that it can be quite handy. But there's nothing in here. So then there's, oh sorry, I haven't even gone in there yet. Documents. If I list it, so there's nothing in there. You can also see that it says that you are inside the documents folder. So I'm going to go back. So cd .. going to go back 1. So doing the cd .. is, let's say I've moved into here. Doing the slash is like clicking this button here where you go back 1. That's all it is. Now I'm going to clear my screen so it makes it a little bit easier to read. So you just type in clear, enter, and it clears it. So if I type in ls, I get a list here of files and folders, but the problem is that the files are usually listed in rows, which is fine for this, but if you have a folder that has loads and loads of files and loads of folders, it can be quite hard to see. So you can type in ls and put a flag with it, so L, which means list, and it will show it and display it in a list form, which in my eyes looks a lot better. Now there's also a lot more information here. So you've got obviously a file or folder name, some information about the dates, the size, the owners, and you've got information about the permissions, the different users, the different groups, which I will go into on another video, not on this one. But something to note is that it can be quite difficult to tell if something is a file or folder. If you look at the D here, that stands for directory. So if it's got D at the start, it means it's a folder or directory. If it hasn't, then it's potentially a file. The other flag that I use alongside the L flag is A. So we've got ls, L, and A. Now there's a lot more here because A stands for all, so that means that it's going to display everything with a dot before, which usually means that it's sort of semi-hidden, secret. It basically doesn't want to be shown up in a view easily, if that makes sense. Now, there's obviously there's a short way of typing it out. So I use LA all the time. Whenever I do ls, I automatically just put L and A, but I don't write it like that because that's effort. So I just write like that. So ls, LA, and well, we get the same thing. So we're going to clear the screen. Now we can also, if we're not sure where we are, so if we ended up inside a folder and we're not really sure how we got there, we can type in pwd, which means print working directory, and that will tell you how you got here. So if let's say we go into downloads, clear, and then we type in pwd. So if we went to the file system, so we know we need to go into home. We basically followed that. Then we go into Richard. Then we go into downloads, and that is where we are sat. So if you get confused as to whereabouts you are, you can just type in pwd. Now, the other thing we can do is we can make folders. We can make files. So I'm going to go back to the desktop. So another little trick is, let's say we are here currently, we are inside the downloads folder. So if we wanted to end up at the desktop, based on what we know so far, we would have to type in cd .. which would take us back to this directory, then cd desktop to move into this. But we can just do cd .. so that moves us back, then go straight into desktop. And then we end up, as you can see here, we end up in the desktop. Now, if we want to make another folder, so we use mkd, so make directory, and then it's followed by the name of the folder, so whatever you want. I'm under pressure now, I can't think of anything. Let's just type in another folder. Oh, that printed too. Let's delete that one. So we've got, I deleted the second one it made, that was my mistake, sorry. So we've got a folder called another. Now we can navigate into that just like we have done before. If we wanted to remove that folder, let's say we could use rm, and then you need to use a flag, which is R, which it means recursive. So that means that it will delete the folder and everything inside, if there is anything inside. And then we can use our autocomplete on that, and you can see it's now vanished. If we wanted to make a file, so let's say we got our test.txt here that I made. So we wanted to make a file. We could, depending on what the file is, you've got two ways. I'm sure there's more, but two ways. We can use touch, so we can do touch file name .txt, let's say, for example, and it just generates an empty text file. The other way is if we wanted to make a note quickly, let's say, and you didn't want to make a file, then open it up and write in it, you can use echo. So we would say something like echo, and then inside quotes you would put what you want to be inside the file. So hello, this is a test echo file. Then we'd use the right arrow, I don't know what the official name of that is, to tell the command line that we want this string to be sent and put into a new file that we're going to call echo file.txt. So you can see that it now generates a new file with the contents that we had in the quotes. So you also have another command called cat, and cat will display the contents of a file. So if we wanted to read what's inside echo file, we can say cat echo file, and it will print it out here. If we wanted to clear the screen, if we wanted to do cat test.txt, it will display. So everything that's inside that file, cat will display it. So if you wanted to generate like a txt file, but use an editor, you can use Nano. Lots of people use other ones like Vim. But you can use Nano, and again pick a file name, nano file.txt, and then it opens up the editor, type whatever you want, and then we click Control X, Y to save, enter to confirm the name. Then if we wanted to cat that out to see what it looks like, you can see what we put in the editor is now being displayed. So if we need to remove a file, so we've talked about how to remove a folder, which is rm-r. We don't need a -r, so we can just put rm, and then let's say we wanted to delete the echo file, and that's it. You can see it is now gone. Now I'm going to make another folder quickly, so I'm going to do make directory and then folder. So I'm going to open up this folder. Now there's a couple more commands. We've got move, which we'll talk about now. I need to put this somewhere where we can see it as well. Okay. So we've got move. So move is obviously used to move a file, but it's also used to rename a file. So let's say test.txt, we wanted to move that from where it is in the desktop to the folder called folder. So all we're going to type in is mv, which stands for move. Then we want the name of the file to move. So if this file was in a directory that we aren't in, so let's say we're in downloads, let's say, and we wanted to move, we knew that this was in there, we knew that this test.txt was in desktop, but we were in another folder. You'd have to then include the path. So it would be home, Richard, desktop, like that. But we're in that folder, so we don't need to. Then the location. The same principle applies to the location as well, but we don't need to specify how to get there because we are already in the desktop. So all we need to do is just type in folder, and it will know to move test, which it can find within the directory we're in, and move that into folder, which it knows where it is because again because folder is inside the directory we're in still. So if we click that, you can see that it's moved from there to here. Now, so if I wanted to, for example, if I wanted to rename this file here, test, so I could use move again. So move dot. Oh no, sorry. Let's navigate into. Where is it? Folders. So we can see we've got test.txt there. So if we wanted to rename it, we could use move test.txt to moved test.txt. You can see that's now changed. So it's now moved test.txt. You also have copy. So if I wanted to copy the file, so I wanted to copy this file from here and paste it basically into the desktop. So I've got two versions of it, one in folder, one in the desktop. You can use copy, so cp, moved, test. We don't need to specify where to find this because we are already inside the folder that contains that file. We wanted to move it, so we can type in sorry, not move it, copy it. We can type in .. / because all we wanted to do is copy it into the directory before the one that we're in now, which is desktop, and you can see that it is now copied it. So we have two versions there. What else? Let me have a quick little look at my list of things I wanted to talk about. So we have a couple of others. We've got grep, so we can use grep. The very basic way of using grep, which is grep, is we can use it to find a word inside a file. Now let's just type in, let's cat out move, actually let's clear our screen. Let's cat out moved, oh no, sorry, I want to go back one, clear. Let's cat out move.txt. So we know that it's got this here. So if we had a file that had loads and loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of text in, but there was something in particular we wanted to find or pick up on, we could use grep. So we could say grep, then we type in the term. So let's say we wanted to find the word file inside moved.txt. It would bring back the row that would have that in. So I think, do we have one that has more stuff in it? Nano. Okay, yeah, we do. So let's say grep, we wanted to find AHT. In nano file. You can see that it brings back anything that's got AHT in, which is these two results here. Sorry, my little boy just decided to walk in. So yeah, using grep, and then the term within a file will return anything or any row that's got that in. Now we can also use locate. So locate we can use to find the path to a file. So if we move out of this directory, let's go back a couple. Now if we type in locate, we know that the file is called move.test.txt, but we don't know where it is. So if we type that in, I haven't got locate installed. Right, well that I'll do in another video because I need to install locate. Which actually no, we'll do it in this video, but we need to talk about installing first. So we have, so we'll come back to locate in a minute. What we're going to move into now is apt. So apt, so it's just a utility for managing sort of installation, updating or removing packages. Now whenever you request to install a package, what it does is it goes up to the repositories. So they're just so it goes through files that are located on your system, and in that file it will have a list of URLs from where Linux or Debian can actually go to those URLs and find the package in question and download it so that you can then install it. So the repositories are basically a group of programs that can be installed, and then the list that's stored on your computer just gives the direction, gives the URL, so that your system, your operating system, will know where to go to download it. So what you want to do first is this command needs to be run as sudo. It needs root privileges. So we do sudo apt. So that's the utility that we use, apt. First thing you want to do is update. So what that's going to do is update the list that's stored on your computer and make sure that everything is up to date on that. So we need our password. So it's updating the list. It's already been done. So if you have updates to do, it will tell you here. It will tell you how many updates you have to do. If you want to update them, you then need to do sudo apt upgrade, and then that will upgrade it. So there's a quicker way of typing this in, but I did it individually so you could see the process. But you could actually do sudo apt update and apt upgrade, which did I run that as root? Sorry, it's because I didn't put sudo before the upgrade. So what this is going to do is it's going to run this first command, and this and symbol, so two ands, means that if this first command runs successfully, then run this command after. So there we go. So that's a quicker way of doing it. So you've also got, we'll clear the screen, you've also got sudo apt install. I mean, there's lots of others. You've got update and upgrade that we talked about. You've got purge, which you can use to remove packages that you've installed. You've got apt search to search for packages. You can do apt list, which I'll do in a minute. So we need to install the package so that we can use the locate function. So we're going to do apt install m locate. So that's going to install. Now just for this package, we also need to run another one, sudo update db. So that is just for the locate. So now what we can do is, in order to, we might as well keep on with the apt because we've started that already, and then we'll go back to locate in a second. But what we can do is we can list apt list installed. That will tell us all the packages that we have installed on this system, and as you can see, there's quite a lot. So Python 3, so you can run Python programs. Yeah, there's loads. If it interests you that much, you can have a little look through and see see what each one does. Anyway, let's go to the bottom. I'm going to just clear the screen. So we wanted to search for something. So let's say we wanted to search for Nmap, which is a popular program for pen testing. So we could go apt sudo apt search Nmap. And this will tell us, this will go up to the repository and pull down anything that it thinks is related to Nmap, and then display it. And you can see that this is actually the one that we want anyway when we do install it. So we know that we need to type in apt install Nmap. If it was something else you wanted to install, we wanted to install ncrack, let's say, you would type in ncrack. So that's the search. Now that's more or less that's enough of apt for you to be able to install stuff. So we could, if you wanted to install Nmap, we could just do sudo apt install Nmap. Click yes. Wait for it to finish. This now means that Nmap's installed. So if I just type in Nmap, we have it installed. This is the help section of Nmap. So that it's relatively easy to install things using their repository if they've got it available. Sometimes they haven't, which means you then have to go to GitHub and find a program, follow their methods of installing something. But again, I might do another video on that. So anyway, back to locate. So we'll clear the screen. So we're in a completely different folder directory. We're in the home at the moment. We want to try and find move to test, which is in the desktop. We know that for this example, but let's pretend we don't. So we can type in locate moved test.txt, and it will tell you all the folders that have moved to test. So you can see that we have two. We've got one in the desktop, which is true, it's here. We've got one inside the desktop and folder, which we do have, so that's true. So this is very handy if you know the name of a file, but you can't actually remember where you've put it or where it is. Now, again, this is case sensitive because everything that Linux does is case sensitive. So if you wanted to remove that, if you couldn't remember if it started with a capital M or what, so if I were to type in the same commands but with a capital M, it won't find it. But if I were to do the same but put a flag of -I, it doesn't care if you put a capital M or not. It will just look for everything that is moved to test regardless of the case. I think that is practically it for the basics of using the command line. There's obviously a lot of information you can find online about this, and I again will be doing more videos in the future about the command line. In fact, everything that we do, to be honest, I do off the command line, with the exception of a lot of the web pen testing, so I use Burp, which I tend to do on my Windows computer. But yeah, that should hopefully give you an idea. Just spend a bit of time with this, play around, move into different directories. This is a virtual machine, and yours should also be a virtual machine if you followed this. So that means you've got loads of system files here. Your home one is the home of the users. Root has its own one. No, I can't run that because I'm not root. And then you've got other bits. So boot will contain everything that's needed to boot. Opt, OPT. So whenever you install your own programs, typically you will store them in here. So there's a lot to look into this. TMP is basically RAM memory, so you can store something in here, but when you switch off your computer and turn it back on again, it will no longer be in there, so it wipes itself clean after every reset. But I'll do a video on the file structure and what each bit does at some point. But honestly, play about with it. It doesn't matter what happens. No matter if you accidentally delete something and then it gets wiped out and it doesn't work, because you can just reinstall it. Or you can make snapshots, which I'll do a video on actually in a minute. So that's it. Yeah, that's it for this video.